Hello and welcome back to the Fixing Football podcast with a full squad out tonight. I'm here with Luke Foley, Scott Naylor and Liam O'Meara. Scott, how are you doing, mate?
I am very, very well. I have a nice short week this week. I've got a lovely city break planned this weekend, so I am in a very, very good mood. How are you?
Good. Holiday was good and I'm ready to get back into it. Liam, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, very well, Martin. Glad to see you back. We missed
Yeah.
you.
House was still in one piece, so thank you all the listeners for not coming to my area. Luke, how are you getting on, mate?
I'm alright, mate. I missed a race on Friday due to ill planning from me, but I'm alright.
Why? That doesn't sound like you at all. I'm stunned.
Yes, usually the very organised man I am. On the ball with all that.
What race was on a Friday? It's not like a bank holiday, right? It's like a normal Friday.
Yeah, it was a 5k race, so it doesn't need to be on a Saturday or a Sunday.
Yeah, all right. It's in the evening.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I'd have thought 5Ks are beneath you, Luke, to be fair. It doesn't sound long enough for you.
There's like a warm-up.
Not if you do them really quick.
Fair.
Yeah, but you're a long-distance guy, but fair enough.
That's the kind of insight we were looking forward to on your fitness episode there. That 5Ks are harder if you run them faster. That's the kind of insight we'll get there. So look forward to that one, Luke, when it eventually happens.
I have got a plan for that. We'll report back. Listen, Luke, we've got to start with you. Man United versus Liverpool this weekend. Just give us your thoughts. It weren't good, were it?
It was terrible. It was really, really, really shocking.
What was I honestly, I was travelling, so I didn't see the match. But what was I heard a lot of slating of Casemiro, and I didn't see much in an attacking threat on the highlights. So, what was the big problem?
Ten Hag's tactics. I think the gap as well now is just too big between us and the big teams. I think we are miles away. I think Ten Hag has got us in a place where we're just not competing at all. There's been no change from last season. None of the players are improving. I think we're in a real mess. And I think it's telling when we come up against the likes of Liverpool's and your Cities, even the mid-table teams, they're just absolutely annihilating us. It's just very, very telling that we have not, Ten Hag is not up to the task. Now, I also feel that this Ineos well-oiled machine is not producing what it said it would, because they had the chance in the summer, because they said they was assessing things to get things in order, and they've not. Now, I think it's worrying that, and I said it in the last podcast, last episode, is they have now brought in Van Nistelrooy, which will be a fan's favourite if he comes in, but is he the right man to do it? I think it's really, really telling. Like, we're just not in a great place at all.
Right, I got 2 points. Firstly, does the fact that you know that there's a massive gap between yourselves and Liverpool or Arsenal or Man City, does it make, because they're your three biggest matches of the season, United and Arsenal just through historic rivalry, Liverpool is again the same and bigger local one, and Man City's Man City. Does it make them derbies less of a derby for you because of the gap on the pitch?
Not the Liverpool match. I think the other ones are. I think, from my point of view, the Liverpool game is the biggest game of the season.
Yeah,
that's the game where there should be some fight from the team, but the rest of them, it feels to the point now where we're just going in to lose.
Right, and the second point was, I've seen a lot of references to the plan from Ten Hag, and he looked, I mean, he was definitely rattled in some of the press conferences that I've seen and the highlights of that. But clearly it seems like the the message from United fans is they can't see one, and you've said a lot yourself about like tactics on the pitch, but he seems very convinced about the plan. I mean, what's your sort of response to that from his press conferences?
It's from my point of view, it's a bit of a joke, but I can see his point of view because his back's against the wall. He's defensive, and that's why I know Scott put in our group that clip where he's been pressed. Why is it a mess at United?
Yeah.
And he's saying, "Oh, we've won trophies." It's clearly a sign of a man that's been defensive and is in trouble. I just think it's. Yeah, the other worrying is, and Liam likes to bring it up all the time, is it clearly the United board have backed him with these signings, and they clearly some United Ten Hag signings. So are we just doing the same situation again, where we're going to bring in multiple players, and then the new manager is going to bring in multiple players if he comes in? It just seems a real mess, and the public can see it, but the blind United fans, like the Gary Nevilles, because clearly he doesn't want to say anything bad about Ineos or anything like that, but it's there to see. The performances are not there. How long do you give this man?
Well, that may come up shortly. Liam, what do you make of it?
I'm going to do Bolton and United in the same bit, if I can.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's a very similar problem where the hangovers from last season are still there. And I think that's true of both Bolton and United. So when they've kept hold of a manager and they've justified that through XYZ reason. But because the start hasn't been up to scratch, all those old wounds have opened up very, very quickly. And we're still in August. Well, we're in September now, but we were still in August when essentially both clubs' fans are discussing the manager position. And it's because nothing's changed and things don't change overnight. But in terms of United, I felt a little bit sorry for Casemiro. And I'll tell you why. Because I watched that first goal. And this was a theme I noticed quite often. That when he received the ball in that sort of defensive, almost quarterback position, a position he's never really played, by the way. Like, Real Madrid, he was far more advanced. He had the nearest progressive passes were about 35, 40 yards.
Yeah, it's a big gap.
Manu and Fernandes were nowhere near him. And it's almost like that's not a new problem. And it's not difficult for a club like Liverpool to sit and do a bit of research for their game and go, right, let's essentially allow Casemiro to have the ball, and then every single one of you get ready to spring the press as soon as he releases the pass. And what you see every couple of minutes is always, every time Casemiro passed, Liverpool players all across the pitch sprinting to the man. And it was just a coincidence which one it went to. But you could see it happening over and over again. And I think Ten Hag reacted to it at half-time. But he seemed happy to throw Casemiro under the bus after the game by talking about, he needs to deal with it and stuff like that. But for me, it was tactical. It was tactical, and as well. And I'll move on after United after this. I don't want to stick the knife in, even though I enjoy it. Is they've conceded two identical goals in a row. So that one against Brighton was João Pedro on the back post, where there's no left back in the history of football, was just free just to head it in a winner in a very critical point of the game. That was exactly like the first goal Liverpool scored, where Mo Salah puts it across. And there's two unmarked Liverpool players just deciding which one of them's going to head it in. And Mazraoui's nowhere to be seen. And for me, it's basic setups that they're just simply not doing. And it's because historically he's not been a defensive manager, but he's been scared to implement his football because he's had people like Harry Maguire trying to pass the ball out from the back. And it's just a bad fit. He might be a good coach, but United's a bad fit.
Can I ask you a question then?
Yes.
Do you think another manager will get that team going?
I think it's a good team on paper, Luke. I think when you say there's a massive gap between you and the top four, who's top four this year? Last year, Spurs. And if I look at your team and Spurs' team, I think you should be giving Spurs a run for the money in fourth, Luke. I think to think that would be beyond, or Villa. I know Villa had a fantastic year, but to think that those squads are beyond Man United's team competing, Yeah, I think a different manager could get a tune out of them.
Right. Yeah. Well, we'll get to that in a little bit. Scott, do you want to give us a little piece on Chelsea? It was 1-1 v Crystal Palace, but more importantly, where you were even busier than you are on the pitch is the transfer window finally shut, and you finally got an actual set of players you can look at. I know Luke's enjoyed a bit of back and forth in the group about the amount, but now that window is slammed shut, you can concentrate on stuff on the pitch. I mean, did you like what you saw?
First half, absolutely. The first half was some of the best football I've seen Chelsea play in ages. We were really dominant. We were rapid to everything. Levi Colwill looked excellent. Fofana looked good. So some of the defensive issues that we've seen under Maresca so far, weren't really seeing them. I mean, Palace, in fairness, haven't had a great start to the season, and their record against us recently has been awful. So the lineup, I said it was the biggest test we'll have all year. But we were playing really well. The combinations were really good, and the goal that we scored was something I'm not seeing us do for ages. Certainly not under Maresca anyway, or until Maresca came. Sorry, was a goal that came from a few passes from back to front. Levi Colwill wins the ball pretty much on the edge of his own penalty area, plays a forward pass through to Madueke, and it's like 4 or 5 passes, and the ball's in. And not seen us do that for a long time. So first half, I thought we were absolutely brilliant. Second half, there was a bit of a malaise. The referee I think there was certain parts of that game where had the referee sort of refereed the game properly, they'd have probably been down to 10 men about 3 or 4 minutes before they scored their equaliser. And the game's probably very, very different. Not that we shouldn't have had the game won. Madueke had a couple of really glorious chances. Jackson's getting a lot of stick for his miss right at the end, but Madueke probably had even better chances than him, and he messed it up. But yeah, sorry, go on, Martin. What's
no? Well,
your take on it?
I was going to say, speaking of refereeing properly, we'll speak about Arsenal in a minute. But I mean, me and you were talking in the car about like the lineup and who played and who what, and I think we were still trying to work out what Chelsea's best 11 was. Not that I'm asking you for that now, but how long do you think it will be until Maresca knows that? You've got so many attacking options now, and you've got a £250 midfield trying to get them 3 on the pitch at the same time. So, yeah, I mean, how long is it until you stop seeing a bit of tinkering?
I don't know. It's a very difficult question because I think before the season kicked off, I don't think anybody would have put Madueke in that starting 11. But I think it would be hard to argue to take him out at the moment, given his form and his clear chemistry with Cole Palmer. So it's going to come down to who takes their chances when they get them. Like Mudryk's been mostly poor, but when he came on, he looked really good, and he had Jackson finish his chance at the end. We would have been talking about, oh my god, what an incredible assist from Mudryk, because the pass was beautiful. So it's going to come down to, I think you've got, when you start getting towards the tail end of the year, into December, near Christmas time, you're going to probably see a more settled, consistent 11. You can see he already has his centre-back pairing. He knows who he wants to play. I think when Lavia's fit, you're going to see him play pretty much every game that he can. And going forward, it's going to depend on who is... Jackson's pretty much almost always going to play because there's nobody else really to seriously play there, unless he goes a false 9 route, which maybe we'll see against Bournemouth, perhaps. So I think give it till Christmas, you may start to see a consistent 11. But I think it's going to come down to who takes the chances when they get them, I think.
Scott, is there any concern that you're probably the first club in Premier League history that's had to use both the home and away dressing rooms to get ready before a game?
I expected that from Luke rather than you. No, because what you just said is ridiculous. I don't even know what to say back to that, to be honest. It makes no sense.
Anyway, let's get to the fun bit. Because none of us have won this weekend, have we? But Martin.
No.
We've not.
Let's hear how it's everyone else's fault but Arsenal's. Come on, tell us about the game.
The game was going really well. I was having a great time. Started the second half great, and then divine intervention, let's call it. got Declan Rice sent off, in my opinion. I think it was, and it's not just my opinion. It doesn't take you don't have to look far to find 1,000 other opinions that are going off the same that it's an absolutely ridiculous decision to send Declan Rice off. And it changed the game. We went to like a... Yeah.
I feel like you're waiting for me to jump in, so I will. Why is it ridiculous to send him off?
Look, you can... If you want to go off the letter of the rules...
If you want to go off the rules...
The letter of the law to the finest degree, then maybe... Okay. Well, let's do that then. And then what... Should the Brighton player not be sent off for volleying Declan Rice?
Well, no, because he's just trying to kick the ball, isn't he?
No.
It's not his fault Declan Rice stands in the way.
Look, the Brighton players played it. He's played a blinder.
Oh,
but it's ridiculous. Because in the same sense, well, Declan Rice doesn't... I could just argue that Declan Rice hasn't meant to kick the ball away. The ball was moving anyway. The ball was moving. So he couldn't have taken a free kick. Just one second. He couldn't have taken a free kick. He was booting the ball up the pitch to nowhere.
You can't see if the ball's moving or not because Declan Rice is...
So a Premier League footballer is just booting it to no one, and it just for no reason.
Did he delay the restart of play, Martin?
No.
Well, he obviously did.
No, because the free kick wouldn't have counted anyway. Because you can't just roll the ball out and kick it whenever you want. The ball was a moving ball, so it wasn't like a dead ball moment anyway. It's a ridiculous decision. You can argue the semantics of it, but it's ridiculous.
It's not a ridiculous decision. It's classic what City, Arsenal do, trying to spoil the opposition game. Anytime they lose possession, they foul. Anytime they away free kick, they try and delay it so they can get back into the shape.
Yeah.
And referees are cutting onto it. So they said at the beginning of the season they were going to clock on to tactical fouling and delaying the restart again because of City and Arsenal.
Because of City and Arsenal, that sounds right. Yeah, but what about when Brighton did it 3 times in the first half about kicking the ball away?
I didn't see that.
I'm sure you didn't see that, but that's what happened 3 times. But like in the last game, it was Michael Oliver was against Villa, and there was a bit of a shit going on in the corner with Saliba and stuff.
Saying mine, just for clarification, and I'll let Scott jump in because
I'm sure the answer to this is no, but go on.
Are you suggesting then that the referee has acted because it's Arsenal and because he chose not to because it was Brighton? Are you suggesting there's an anti-Arsenal conspiracy?
No. So I'm saying this is a perfect example of the early season over refereeing when they've all been given a new quarter, a new thing to focus on for the time being, and it gets blown out of proportion. And if this incident happens in 6 or 7 weeks' time, it's not even an incident, it's not even a thing. And most likely the Brighton players getting sent off. I'm
just glad that Veltman wasn't injured, because when you don't see someone coming and you're kicking out, you can break your foot then. Like, that's a proper foot breaker type thing, isn't it?
Yeah, so, smashing someone else from behind in the shins, that's probably going to do your foot in a world of damage.
I've talked quite a lot of sense here, so I'll let Scott ask his question.
So, if what you said there about over-refereeing is true, and let's say that is happening, where's the responsibility on Declan Rice to not be cuter and a bit smart? Because if you know that, if this is true and you know it, he certainly knows it as well, because he's not the captain, or Odegaard's captain, but he's one of the leaders of the team, and he's been a pro long enough to know that refs are going to pick up on this shit. So one thing I'm a bit surprised at is that fans weren't more pissed off at Rice, because I think if that happened to a Chelsea player, I'd probably be raging as well. But I'd also be like, why do something so fucking stupid to put yourself in that position when you're already on a yellow? I've not really seen much of that from Arsenal fans, so I'm not sure. But Luke, go on, add to that, mate.
Can I jump?
And then Matt can have a double-barreled answer.
I'm just going to jump in to what Scott was saying as well. Is wouldn't the better response for Rice to, if he didn't want the ball to be played, instead of looking away and complaining to the ref, try and just stand in front of the ball so he couldn't kick it instead of kicking the ball away, like, and make sure he's switched on, because clearly he decided to do something sneaky instead of just standing in front of the ball.
He was right there. The ball, the if you've seen it, they were arguing the silly semantics of it here, but the Brighton player throws it out towards Declan Rice in a rolling fashion, and you can see Declan Rice look down and see it and nudge it away. Why there hasn't been more sort of backlash on Declan Rice about it is you could argue that Declan Rice isn't worried about this incident because he's seen the Brighton players do it so many times in the first half. So why should he be punished? This is what Arteta was whining about, is like a consistency issue.
I don't think a City player makes that mistake and drops points.
Probably not.
Yeah, the dropping points thing hurts even this early in the season. Not gonna lie. So yeah, it sucked. Can
I ask one more Arsenal question as well before we move on?
Please do. It's refreshing.
And I'm really interested in Arsenal this season. Big year for you. Martin Odegaard. Are you worried about his form?
No. If you watch the matches, which you probably haven't, and just seen highlights, he's not got assists or goals yet, but he's still as influential as ever and pulling strings. No, he doesn't look out of form at all.
I have watched the match, and I feel that he's playing quite safe. But that's my view. So when he gets possession, he seems to get it in quite advanced, dangerous areas. And he seems to quite exclusively go right to Saka for Saka to then beat the man rather than trying to... It feels like he's not trying to unlock the way that he was maybe at the beginning of last season. I don't know. Just something I was getting frustrated. And maybe I was watching him more because I put him captain of my fantasy team this weekend like a fucking idiot.
So did I, by the way, instead of Salah.
And I feel like he's not... I don't know. Just watching him, it doesn't feel like I'm watching the same player I watched beginning of last year.
No, I don't feel like he's out of form particular. But yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe there's something in that. I'm not 100% sure.
Martin's
I've seen other Arsenal fans pick up on that.
Oh, really?
In the Twitter sphere. Yeah, a few Arsenal fans were sort of starting to dig him out a little bit. Nothing major, but I've seen it crop up a few times that people sort of cottoning on that he's not quite producing the same. I've not watched him that closely, so I'm not 100% sure if this is...
Are you saying Martin Frodegaard? Is that what you're saying?
Frodegaard. Martin Frodegaard, yeah. Correct.
Hilarious puns, as always, Mr. O'Meara. Listen, while we're talking about hilarious things, Bolton's form is hilarious at the moment.
What is going on?
Just touch on that for a minute. Come on, they were everyone's second team this season. Everyone was behind them. They were favourites to win the league. And
were they? Again,
listen,
were they?
I'm not going to stick the knife in. You please explain. But you was quite vocal online this weekend. But is Ian Evatt rocking a bit? Is the ship sinking a little bit at the moment?
Yeah, it is. And we've only won 12 games in 2024. It's not a new problem. It's the back end of last season. It's the same thing. When we talked about this in the summer, I was worried about this season. And I got a bit, after a few years on the first game of the season when we won, I was like, oh, we're going to win it all. I got a bit, but it's kind of playing out the way that I thought it would do earlier. And I was hoping it wouldn't, if I'm being honest. And I tried to almost manifest it by pretending that we were going to be up there. But in my heart of hearts, I kind of thought this was going to happen, where we've been sussed out. And this new formation that we're trying is just like the old formation, but worse. Because essentially, instead of a freer midfield that provided us with a defensive screen when we got counter-attacked, we've now only got two midfielders. So when we lose possession, you can split the defence straight away with a pass straight through the middle to an attacking wide man. And we're asking to be countered all fucking game. So we're in trouble. Big time.
Is a new manager the answer, in your opinion?
Yes.
Because this has been, like you said, since in 2024, a long run of games now.
I like Ian Evatt as a manager. I think he's a very good manager.
He's your type of manager, isn't he? He's safe. Safe manager, I would say.
He's very good. He's very good. However, at the back end of last year, that was such a big disappointment. It's hard to get over that.
Yeah.
Really crippling disappointment. Painful. Missing out twice, essentially. Throwing away an advantage to be in the top two, and then also one of the worst performances I've seen at Wembley. So, since obviously when I went to Wembley before back in 2011. But so yeah, and it's quite hard to get over that. I think we needed. Sometimes it doesn't always have to be booed out the club, bed sheets up like Wenger out, and it doesn't have to be like that when a manager. Sometimes you can just turn around a bit like Pochettino. This thing on, we need to go in a different direction now. Good luck to you. Good luck to us. It doesn't, and it should have been that. I think it's going to get toxic now,
right.
Because like United, we've kind of, if you sack them in September, how clueless do you look? So they're going to try and stick with it for a bit now, I think.
Last point then, is there anyone in mind that you would like, or you think the Bolton fans would like? I've seen Kevin Nolan's name mentioned.
No one's mentioned. Why do you keep saying Kevin Nolan?
I've seen that.
Maybe the type of Bolton fans you would talk to. But I think Ryan Lowe would make sense. Right, Ryan Lowe. He's been linked with a job before. He did very well at Plymouth. Done a decent job at Preston. I think that would be the direction to go.
Okay.
But you never know, because a lot of outside the box thinking now. We may even go abroad, looking at what's happened at Sheffield Wednesday with Danny Roll. I think a lot will look at that as a bit of an example. Who knows? But
okay.
We'll see.
Right, it's the international break now, and the transfer window's shut, so there's no better time for us to do our full Premier League predictions episode. We'll start. We'll go around the board. First off, so we've all done our predictions. Let me just remind myself what we are going to be predicting. The bottom three, the champions, and the top four, the remaining European places, and then the interesting stuff like top goal scorer, although I think that'll be a clean sweep already. First manager sacked, and best and worst signings, and some cup winners. So, do I have a volunteer who would like to start with our bottom three? In fact, does anyone not have the three teams who came up going straight back down? Does anyone have any alternatives? Luke, I'm going to start with you.
All three of us do.
So, the bottom three this year, I've gone for Everton, Wolves, and Ipswich. Because I've picked Everton because that place is a stink fest. And it's about time they go down. How many times have we said as a group they deserve to go down because of the fucking rubbish? And I think
years.
Sorry, Steve.
It's been years now.
I think Wolves, I predicted them to go down last season. I was clearly wrong, but I think them getting rid of some key players, I think, I think it's time for them to go down as well. I think Ipswich, we've got this fairy tale like we wanted them to stay up, but yeah, not good enough. But down you go.
I'll jump in. You think Southampton will stay up, Luke?
Well,
because I don't disagree with anything that you've said. It's just, for me, Ipswich and Southampton are down before you kick a ball, I think. I think Ipswich have changed too much in the team. I think Southampton are going to do a Burnley and pass the way down back to the Championship. And it's only Leicester and Everton. It's that debate I had. I think Wolves have just got enough as a team to be better than these teams. And I was torn between Everton and Leicester. And I've gone with, because of the stink fest, like you say, and the way how bad it was this weekend. And I just look at that place and go, maybe that shit is finally going to flush. And it's finally going to happen. So
That's a great analogy.
I think, yeah, I'm going to go Everton, Southampton, and Ipswich. I realised I started by asking you a question, didn't let you answer it there, Luke, but I think you forgot about Southampton, hadn't you?
Yeah, I did forget about Southampton. I think there's part of me just wants Wolves to go down as well because I picked them last year.
Yeah, you did. I noticed that the Wolves' hatred has continued.
Go on,
I've got a somewhat similar. Who did I have in here? I think I had Ipswich in there before this weekend. And now I've sort of last minute changed and I've put Southampton in there. As much as I don't mind Southampton, I think on the whole, they try and play a nice brand of football, but I just think what I've seen in the first 3 games, they've been absolutely obliterated every single time. So can't see them staying up. I've then gone for Leicester because I think even if they are technically good enough on paper and on the pitch, they are probably going to get hit with point deduction at some point, I think, which is going to put them well behind the 8 ball. And I've continued the theme of everybody else and Everton. Everton is an absolute car crash. And I just can't see a world where they turn it around, even with Sean Dyche, even with some of the players that they've managed to sign. I just can't see it turning around. And I've gone for Ipswich to stay up because I feel like they've had a very difficult start to the season. They've had City and Liverpool in the first 3 games, which I think it's given everybody that lens of, Ipswich, they've just come up, they're getting battered every week, but they've been battered by the 2 best teams, or 2 of the best teams in the league. So I kind of feel like give them a little bit more time to show what they can do. I feel like Ipswich might just do it. To Liam's point, they have changed a lot. So they will be down there struggling, but I think they'll scrape through.
So mine, I've gone for the 3 who've came up, and I did deliberate on all them teams you've mentioned, as well as Brentford, because
I had Brentford in there at one point as well.
It's just a slippery slope that they're on, and I don't know where the goals are necessarily coming from. They signed a new striker and he's out, I think, for a lot of the season.
I disagree.
Brandon Buemo.
Yeah.
That's where the goals are coming from.
Sorry.
So, yeah, but in my heart of hearts, they probably do just stay up. I think they'll be down there, though. I think they'll be struggling. So the 3 coming up. And my main reason is I don't see any of them scoring enough goals. I don't think any of them have got enough going forward to get wins. The wins that they are going to get are going to be random high-scoring games where they beat Chelsea 4-3, or they beat a Tottenham 3-0 just randomly. But they're not going to put enough of them games together. I just don't see where the goals are coming from. So unfortunately, I don't like to see the 3 teams who've come up go straight back down, because that's the beauty of the Premier League. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't see. And the teams who are going to be in around them, we've all mentioned them: Everton, Wolves, Brentford. I think that's probably about it. I just think they'll be just a little bit better than them. And that's the only reason why they're not in there. And all 3 of them could easily find themselves there. Liam, let's move on to the champions. You can do your top 4 in order if you want.
Yeah, okay, I will. And I've changed my mind.
Okay.
On champion, because I've been very firm on my belief that Arsenal will win the league. But
Chris Kavanagh sweared it for you.
I didn't like what I was watching against Brighton.
How so?
I just think you've got problems in the team that I think people are dropping off on form. I mentioned Odegaard, but I mentioned Martinelli as well. He's dropped up on form. And I feel like you need these players to be firing all season. Havertz is doing brilliantly in that false 9 role, but I still think you needed a number 9. And I feel like there's a weird reluctance to even try and sign one, which I can't really get my head around. I think Sterling's a good signing because he gives Saka a bit of cover, so he doesn't have to play in like even the under 21 games and stuff like that you make him play in. But I just look at Haaland's form again, and I just think there's probably one more year in the City team now. So I've got City to win it.
I agree on that forward thing though. So I don't think there was a reluctance to sign a striker. I just think that the right deal and the money's were in place. Because I know we went for Sesko early on in the window. So I think that position was trying to get sorted out, but obviously the monies didn't make sense. But go on, Q, please carry on. I do agree with you, by the way.
Was that Benjamin Sesko, singer of the Fong song? Was it?
Yes, that's the same guy. Yeah, 90s R&B star.
Said footballer.
21-year-old Slovak. Is he Slovakian?
White Slovakian footballer, yeah.
So yeah, City to win it. Arsenal second, but I think Liverpool will run them close for it as well. I think Liverpool are going to be very much in this. Don't know if it'll be a title race, but they'll be very much in and around the top. Liverpool really look really good. Salah looks better than ever. Really creative when he's coming into the midfield. Looks like a new player. He's really changed his game because he has lost a yard of his pace, Salah, but the technical brilliance of him when he comes inside with Evatt now as well. Look, he's yeah. So they'll be right up there.
Technical brilliance.
Yeah.
What am I hearing?
Anyway, not good enough for Chelsea, was he? Salah, him and De Bruyne.
Well, he wasn't, was he?
Booed out the club. And others.
Yeah. Good. Never returned.
And then fourth, I was really struggling with, but I have gone for Tottenham. I think Tottenham will finish fourth. I think they look pretty good, to be honest. I quite like the way that they are. So that's my top four.
Do you know when we were all meant to get this prepared and you clearly just plucked that name out?
No,
What are you on about? They look great.
They look fantastic.
I like their kits and
their lovely white shirts.
I like their new stadium. No, I do think Tottenham. I was on the fence between Tottenham and actually Chelsea, to be fair. I think Chelsea are on for a good season, but I went with Spurs.
Okay. Luke, your top four in order. Do Man United make it?
So,
Luke, just before you go, can I remind you that this time last year, you predicted United to finish above City? I just want to remind you of that.
Well, you did, didn't you? Fucking hell. What about that?
I was held to that. I didn't. So I made a prediction before the league started, and I knew if I changed that, Liam, you'd be on me, so I had to stick with it. But
doesn't sound like something I would do.
This year, pains me to say it, and to Nail's enjoyment.
Which one?
Or Martin's enjoyment. I've gone for Arsenal to the champions. And the reason I chose that is I think this 116 charges is going to come into play this season. I think that's really going to affect the team.
Yeah.
So I think, well, is it set to, well, it's this month, isn't it? We get a decision of what's going to happen.
No, I think it'll be in early New Year when there's an actual decision and a ruling, but the hearing starts in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. I think any club that's going through that, it's going to affect them.
Yeah.
But to Liam's point, there is worries there to that decision to put them first because you're not performed again like last season. That's for sure. And I think this reliance on Saka to be the star boy, I think may not be enough this season, but hopefully it is.
We did start like this last season and got better, but no, that's a fair point. What was the rest of your top four?
So I've gone City for second. I've gone for Liverpool third. And my surprise pick, I've gone for Newcastle for fourth.
Why?
Due to no European football, and I quite like how Ian gets Newcastle playing. I think it's
Ian
Howe.
Ian Howe. He's back. Eddie.
Sorry. I was saying, why did I think Ian then?
Jesus.
Yeah, I think that I've picked them because I do think they've got a really good squad. I love them too in midfield. So I think, and I also like Harvey Barnes and Anthony Gordon as well. And Isak's not bad as well. I just think they've got a really good squad. So that's why I've gone them for fourth.
I have also got Arsenal as champions. Shock. City second, regardless of what goes on with the hero. I didn't want to take that into account, even though it is coming, because part of me doesn't want to accept that we may win the league by default if they get some ridiculous points deduction.
Way you win it. I do agree with Luke's point though, and that's kind of where I was before this weekend, where I did think that would play a part. I think it'll make Pep go weird.
Yeah.
Big time. Like he won't sleep for about 3 months. So I think that then it'll start, like, Foden will start getting weird, and Rico Lewis will start getting weird. Oh, and
they all get weird. Right. Sorry, I've got City second. I've got Liverpool third. I don't think they will mount a title challenge, though. I think they'll go through difficulties like any club do with a new manager. And I just think that'll be their downfall. But I do really like the ways Slot's already got them set up. Gravenberch looks like he's becoming the sort of player Liam hinted he would be. Salah looks sharp as fuck, which might have been my pick. He's, for the first time ever, I've picked him in fantasy football this year, and he's the only one getting me any points so far. And my team rounding off the top four is Chelsea. I don't think Spurs will be anywhere near. I think they're a bit of a mess, and I think they've had a poor transfer window. I think the Champions League will affect Aston Villa, although I think they'll be maybe 6th or 7th, somewhere like that. And I just think Chelsea will just sort of sneak through and pick up points against them as well. I did watch Chelsea while I was away, and I mentioned this to Scott yesterday, but I do think Chelsea will, because their team is so mishmash still and there's no like chemistry, that they will, like, they played, I can't remember that it's Evatt who they played the other week, and they were shit in the Conference League. And I know they had a new 11 out and the pitch was terrible, but they just matched how bad. And I was looking at these Chelsea players like, these players aren't that bad, and they were just awful. It was really hard to watch. But and I just feel
you could see just on that, you could see on the faces of some of them. Palmer, we had to bring fucking Palmer on was an embarrassment, but you could just see on some of their faces like, what are we doing here? It's the arse end of Switzerland on a Thursday. And like, I don't know if you saw, like, 5 minutes from the end, home end started letting fireworks off, like inside the ground. Yeah. It's almost like a full-fledged firework display, because they were beating Chelsea. Like, for them, that's probably won't get better than that this year for them. I don't know what they do in their own league, but you could just see it on some of the faces, just like they didn't want to be there. And I think they'll have to be careful of that in the Conference League. Some of those away days, Maresca said it in his press conference, that's going to be some of these clubs' biggest game of the year. And if we don't turn up and be up for it, like I shared in our group the clips of inside the Panathinaikos Stadium, it looks fucking extremely hostile. If you go there and you're not really up for it, it'll be a super intimidating place to go. So you need to sort that shit out.
But yeah, I just think Chelsea. Like, I think Chelsea will play really well against like City and Arsenal, but I also think they'll play really badly against like Ipswich and Southampton. So I just think they'll pick up more points against them. So yeah, that makes up my top four. Scott, you round us up.
Okay, so I'm going for City to be champions. I don't necessarily think the charges in the case will have that much of an effect. It's been looming over them for years, and I'm sure it's been being kicked down the road as far as it possibly can by the people involved. But I don't know. I just can't. If it's not affected them by now, I don't see why it would start now. Even if there is going to be some sort of hearing, like, I don't know. I just can't see it. Can't see it being that much of an issue on the pitch. I don't think the players will be that close to it, and I think that they'll have an expert there of like being able to shut all that out and just be able to focus on what they're there to do. So I think City are going to win it. I toyed between Arsenal and Liverpool for second, but I do think Liverpool are benefiting from a bit of new manager bounce and having a few established top players in their team already. I think as the season goes on, you're going to see that midfield depth hinder them, because I think the midfield's still really poor overall by comparison to the Arsenal midfield and the City one. So I do think Liverpool are going to come third and Arsenal will come second. And I've also gone for Chelsea in fourth. I agree. I think that we are in for a good season, despite what everyone wants to say about the business that we've done and the impact that's going to have on the stability. I think we're going to be good enough going forward to score a lot of goals. I think defensively we need to do a bit of work, but I think we're going to be much better than anyone else outside the top four. So I'm going to say we are fourth, but closer to third than fifth. I'm going to say.
While you're here, who rounds up your sixth and seventh? So the rest of the European positions that we can get.
Sixth and seventh. I'm going to go with Spurs finishing sixth, and I think Villa are going to come seventh. I was toying with Brighton, but I feel like they've changed a hell of a lot. I think they brought in a lot of new players, and I think they're going to struggle to integrate them all so quickly. So I've gone Spurs and Villa for my sixth and seventh position. Fifth, I've gone for Man United.
Ooh.
You know what? Why have I missed out fifth on this?
I don't know. You just said top four and sixth and seventh.
Yeah, I'm really sorry.
I was going to say, but I thought I've drifted off here and not heard fifth.
Sorry. This is a typo. Fifth, sixth, and seventh. Let's just address that.
Let me I'll elaborate on Man United, and then we can go back around everyone else's fifth.
Please don't. We never.
I think Man United are going to sack Ten Hag fairly soon, and I think it's. I don't know if there's been some financial finessing going on with this new deal he signed in the summer, with a view to you're going to sign this, so when we do sack you, it's not going to hit us as hard as it would have done before. And Ten Hag's gone, you know what? I don't want to be here anyway. I'll still get a nice payout. I'm off. Like everything that's come out of his mouth since he signed that deal has been negative. Hasn't really taken ownership of the team and the recruits that are being brought in. And I just think I think this is the whole reason Van Nistelrooy's there, because everyone's in agreement that, Eric, we're going to give you a few games, win, lose, or draw. By end of November, we'll see you out. Thanks for everything. Here's your money. Off you trot. And I think that's been the plan all along. But I think United will sack him, and I think you will benefit from said new manager bounce. And I think, as Liam said, you've got some good players in that team who you should get a tune out of. And when you look at everyone else below you, Ange looks like he doesn't want to be at Spurs anymore. He looks like a miserable fuck every week. And Villa have lost some key players, and I think that's going to come into it. And you've kept most of yours. So yeah, that's why I think United will come fifth.
Liam,
okay.
Your European spots.
So fifth was Chelsea. I do think that's close between Spurs and Chelsea for me. I disagree with this idea that Spurs are shit. I think they'll have a really good year. I think they've got a really good manager, and I think he's brought his own players in. And even though they've not had the best results so far, they look pretty good, I think. So I think Spurs will be fifth. Sorry, fourth, Chelsea fifth. Sixth, I was struggling with, and what I have gone for is Brighton. I think they've recruited unbelievably well. And whilst I agree with what Scott's saying, there's a lot of change, and obviously including a change of manager with Hurtzler, they've not changed too much in regards to how they're playing and what they're doing. And I think that's testament to how well run they are, and they're bringing in people that fit this sort of long term. It's the classic football strategy done well. Kind of everything that we talk about with these big clubs. It really is the model to follow. So yeah, I've gone for Brighton in sixth. In seventh, I've gone for Manchester United. I think that's where United will land. That's a terrible finish for them.
Yeah.
Although it's better than last year, to be fair. So, marginal gains in terms of league position for them there. So
I agree, and I do think, like Scott said, they will sack Ten Hag at some point. It's sort of dependent on that, is when they regain form and if they can make up ground in that time. So I've gone for Newcastle, Man United, Aston Villa as my fifth, sixth, seventh. Which, I don't know. Can you count that as an improvement on last season? I think anything outside of the top four is probably not an improvement for Man United.
I'm just going to say I was really up and down on Newcastle. Because I agree with what Luke said about the midfield and the team, and especially now Jacob Murphy's back. He's brilliant in for them. And
Tonali.
And Willock as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of energy. But I don't rate Eddie Howe that highly, to be honest. So I just felt that are they going to be better than Brighton and United? I just wasn't sure. So I just felt like I wanted to qualify why I didn't go Newcastle. And for Villa, it was similar to what Scott said. To Europe, I think they'll have a mental fatigue from that, I think. There'll be some big nights at Villa Park.
Luke, where do Man United fit in?
I've not even got them in the top 7.
Really?
Yeah. I think I get your point, all your points, but it does seem like Ineos are going to back him till Christmas, and I think that's going to be just too late.
Yeah.
I just feel the other teams around that they're going to do in a better place than United. So unless the change happens quick, then I would probably potentially put them 7th. But yeah, they're not in there, which is disappointing. But it is what it is. That's the state we're in.
Do you not think the fluffier pillows in the team hotels will be starting to make a difference by then? Luke?
There's no staff to put them out anymore. That's the problem.
Go on, Luke. Who's your 5th, 6th, 7th?
So I've gone for Spurs because, to be fair, I agree with Liam. I don't know what you two are seeing. I thought Andrew's got on playing good football. And obviously,
a miserable manager with his head in his hands every week.
They're just weird about Tottenham. Like instead
of shit.
Well, no, you're both weird. You're like, oh no, we don't hate each other. We just hate Tottenham. Who? All right, okay. That's like everyone London team you speak to. It's like, oh yeah, it's Tottenham. Like Tottenham just cracking on doing their own thing, and everyone just fucking piles on them
doing their own thing.
Poor little old Tottenham.
Anyway, I've gone for Villa for 6 as well, because Unai Emery, I'd take him at heartbeat. United, I think he's top manager. I think he'll probably win the Europa League this season as well.
What, by chopping out of Champions League? I don't think you can.
Well, no,
can you not?
No,
you can't.
No, you can't.
Really?
Yeah, there's no dropout this
year. Well,
Champions League run is on for Villa.
Oh, sounds promising.
If I'm Villa, though, just on that, I would throw all my eggs in that basket because they're probably not going to get back in it again for a while, having with the FFP stuff that they've got to adhere to. So while they're in it this year, fuck the Premier League off. You're not going to get relegated. Just fucking go for it. You're in the Champions League. It's the first time they've been in it for God knows how long. Just fucking throw everything at it.
If you're between 8th and 16th in that 32-man league, you go into a 2-legged playoff for the next round. So there's every chance Villa could get themselves in the top half.
Yeah.
Get into that playoff. That would be what I would be trying to do if I'm Villa.
I think he's inclined to do it with European competition as well. I think he will go for it.
Well, it's the pinnacle, isn't it? Champions League's the biggest competition, so you should that should prioritise.
Well,
not a bad run either.
That's my opinion. That's mine. Yours opinion, Liam. Not these two. And then I've gone for Brighton 7th, just because they beat us and they're playing great football.
Man of sense, Luke. You're a man of sense.
Right. I think the next one is going to be pretty obvious, but is it a clean sweep as Erling Haaland to continue being the top scorer in the Premier League for all time, as long as he's here, regardless of how long he's injured for?
It's between him and Chris Wood, I reckon. So
Chris Wood. Oh my God. Yeah, Haaland's just a freak in nature, isn't he?
He's unbelievable. He's a joke.
Big goth. That's what he is.
He is a big goth, yeah. Big Norse goth. Just smashes goals in for fun.
Liam, first manager sacked.
Well, this time last year, I predicted Sean Dyche.
So did I.
And I'm going to repeat that prediction. Despite being so wrong last year, I just feel like the fans are proper turning on him, which is unfair because I don't know what you want him to do, but no place gets toxic like Goodison Park gets toxic.
No.
And that's pretty much the only thing they can do because they can't sign anyone because the transfer window's shut. So what else can they do to possibly try and turn the atmosphere around? The only thing they can do. So I think there's a chance that Dyche might go in the next few days because I think he could easily fall out with a board or something like that. I think it's coming and it's coming soon. So that's my pick.
Luke, hold on. I'll go back to you in a minute because I think we've got the same. Scott?
Yeah, I'm in the Dyche camp. Again, like Liam, with this prediction last year and was very wrong. But I think when you look at the other teams who are going to be down there, if my bottom three is accurate, Leicester I don't think are going to sack Steve Cooper. And I don't think Southampton are going to sack. Oh God, his name's just escaping me. What's his name? Southampton manager.
Martin.
Say again.
Russell Martin.
Russell Martin. That's the one. I wanted to say Nathan Jones, but that's somebody else, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a different person.
Yeah, different person altogether. But my thinking, the clubs who I think, and like Ipswich as well, they're not going to sack McKenna because there's such a big stink over them wanting to keep him in his new contract. And I think that the three who came up have probably done some risk assessment and gone, we're probably going to, chances are we will be back down again. So let's just, whoever we've put in, we will stick with them. They're not going to be in that camp of, I don't think they'll be as desperate to stay up as Everton will be, given how much shit they're in financially.
I completely agree. I also think Russell Martin's destined for bigger things as well. He's a really good manager.
You think?
Yeah, really, really good. Brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and watch a bit of them because they've got one of our boys on loan, and I want to see how he does. So I'm going to try and keep an eye on Southampton this year.
It's got 2/3 of the Football League of lots of your players on loan.
Yeah, well, think how much more football I'm going to watch now, and how much more well versed of a pundit I'll become.
I've noticed it's got a lot more football. Commitment to the podcast has been commendable, Scott. So well done.
It's good, isn't it? Unlike you two, I was correct last season. I went with Paul Heckingbottom and got it right. And I nearly went with Russell Martin for the same sort of reason that I went with Heckingbottom last year, is that they'll just probably move first. But you're probably right in your reasoning, and it's why I've moved away from it. But I've got a feeling me and Luke have got the same one, and I've gone with Ten Hag as the first manager sacked because it stinks and the pressure's on, and the pressure was on until he won the FA Cup, and it sort of subsided over the summer, and we let him see who's going to get his transfers in, but it's not been right. Luke, are we on the same path here?
We are not.
Ooh. Right, okay. Well, I've gone with Ten Hag.
Yeah. I want it to be mine, but I've gone for a different direction. And I've gone for the Crystal Palace manager, Oliver Glasner.
Oh,
the man
interesting.
The man approached by Bayern Munich in the last 2 months.
I've gone for them because they have a revolving door of managers at Crystal Palace. And if you can see where they are in the league, they're not doing too good. I think a few more results like that, and they'll just get rid of him. That's why I've gone for them.
Fair enough. It's just they're a bit trigger happy, you think?
Interesting takeover situation as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
He's just trying to sell, isn't he? So, yeah, interesting show.
That's interesting. Right, I want to speed through these next ones. We've got cup winners. So FA Cup and League Cup, just either way around, whichever you want to do it. But I've gone for Arsenal and Newcastle.
Which one?
Newcastle, because either way, I think Arsenal will win a cup. I think we need to win a trophy. So I'm covering both grounds by saying we're going to win the league and a cup, but we need to win one of them two things. So I've gone with us because I think we'll take it seriously, and I think Newcastle will as well because the lack of European football. Anyone else want to jump in?
Yeah.
When's it ever made them take anything else seriously? Not had European football for a long time. Never helped them before.
I think Liverpool will win a cup.
Okay.
Season. And Bolton as well.
And Bolton, okay. We can speak about that in a minute.
Bolton.
We have also, got the FFP derby coming up in a couple of weeks, Liam.
We have.
Big match at the Emirates.
Is it?
Well, for you.
It's a big payout. That's what it is. You're rubbing their hands together at Bolton.
Look forward to putting that in Evatt's severance package. So Liverpool and who else? Bolton.
I actually think, if I'm being dead straight, I think Liverpool and Man City.
Luke?
I've gone for same as you, Martin.
Newcastle and Arsenal.
For the exact same reasons.
Is that an Arsenal double you've gone for, Luke?
Yes.
Wow.
You didn't realise it, but yes.
An Arsenal double this season.
We all hope Luke is right this season. Scott?
No, we don't. I don't hope Luke is right. I'm going for Aston Villa to win the FA Cup, and I'm going for Chelsea to win the League Cup.
Nice. Villa on for a good season.
It's a very late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I don't think City will give a shit enough. I think Arsenal will bottle it. I don't think I actually didn't even consider Liverpool. You're probably right; they might be in there, but I'm backing Chelsea to end their Wembley hoodoo and bring something home finally.
Finally, win one of them 0-0s against Liverpool.
Yeah.
Right.
Another one of them.
My favourite one. I mean, you all were going to do best and worst signings. You all hilariously got Kai Havertz wrong as the worst signing last season.
No, I was still correct with that.
I don't know about
toilet.
Yeah. Anyway, go on. Sorry, man.
Oh yeah, Luke picked Iwobi. That was he loves a bit of left field actually. Liam, best signing of the summer transfer window.
Ooh, I was torn between two. One was very recent, was Sterling. To Arsenal, I think makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, a lot more than the United one.
Yeah, 100%. He can provide cover at all three of those forward positions, particularly with the way you play a number 9 as well. So that's good. But for best, even though he's injured, I have gone for Solanke. Okay. I think that is a very, very good striker to have.
The most expensive transfer of the window.
Yes, but relatively, in terms of buying goals in the Premier League, not that much, I would argue, at 60 million. That would have bought you half of Ivan Toney this time last year. So I've gone Dominic Solanke. I think he's a good fit for Tottenham. Can do everything.
What?
The best signing, I've gone for, I'm torn between two, and I'm still debating. One's going to be an honourable mention. Pedro Neto. I think for the money and for the talent, I think it was an excellent deal. I think he could be a game changer for Chelsea. Or Federico Chiesa. I think if he there's a big asterisk with his fitness.
Luke's gutted about that one.
if he performs, Liverpool have done a ridiculous piece of business. If he's close to what he can be, that is an unbelievable deal. So I hope it's selfishly hope it's not, because I'd want Liverpool to fail miserably. But it's a toss up between Pedro Neto or Chiesa. Luke, did I steal your thunder?
No, I've been a fan of Chiesa for a while now. And
He's class, isn't he?
You know his dad played football.
Yes, you've reminded me many times when I keep saying I discovered him.
I discovered him.
But yeah, I think that's a great signing if it works out.
Please. No,
my top signing is Onana from Everton to Villa. I think he's a top player, and I think he would have been perfect for United. I don't know why United didn't go in for him. I think he would have.
He's a funny one, because I think whenever an opposition fan watches it, they think how good he is. But if you're Everton fans and Villa fans already, they slate him like mad.
Did they really?
And I can never understand it. Like, about in terms of his application and stuff like that. But I agree with you. I only ever see a good player, but he gets absolutely slated by fans. So, but anyway, I agree with you, by the way, Luke.
Interesting. Good shout.
I had 3 suggestions. I went with Marino for Arsenal. I just think we got a really good deal. But that's not what I'm really going for. I just think he's a player that we really needed, and I think we got him at good money. He's a player for now. He's not like someone who we want to sell for 100 million next year.
You had the best midfield, Partey, Rice, Odegaard. I thought that was unbeatable.
Yeah, it's fine. Well, It's not going to matter for a while anyway, because the guy who won the most duels in all of Europe by an absolute distance last season had one training session with that fucking lump Gabriel and smashed his shoulder to bits, so he's not going to see him for a while. I also went with Neto as well as one of my suggestions, just because I think, in terms of the deal, I think Chelsea got a player that would have got in any starting 11 in the league, providing he could stay fit. And I just think it was like, oh, there's a rumour that Chelsea are going for Neto, and then next thing he's stood there in a Chelsea shirt. It was in and out. It was uncharacteristically Chelsea. Well, present day Chelsea. So yes, I think he will be a success providing he can stay fit. But probably the signing I would say is the best sign of the summer is Gundogan back to City for free. I just think maybe he covers a lot of tired legs that might start to creep up in that City midfield. And a winner, he's had a good break at Barcelona, featured quite a lot for them, probably more than he thought he was going to. And yeah, I think that could be a good signing for them.
Such a bizarre deal. They let him go he had 2 years left on his deal and they let him go for nothing.
Yeah. They needed to sign, they needed to register Danny Olmo.
He's a fucking corrupt bastard, Pep, isn't he?
Well, they've got
allegedly.
Allegedly. Apologies.
We'll find out.
Allegedly. Sorry, Pep.
And I'm going to start out with our worst signing, or the worst signing, I think, of the summer window, and that's boys again, Scott. That's João Felix back to Chelsea.
Okay.
I think it's I just don't think he covered himself in any glory. I know you told us that he's shown bits of what he could do, but definitely not consistent enough. I don't see where he fits into this Chelsea team at all. I don't know if anyone does. There is probably a position there for him, but you've also got 5 other players in that position. And
tell you're an Arsenal fan. You just hate ballers. You just hate ballers.
João Felix is the type of player that I would love. I just don't think that transfer at that money makes any sense. So I think it's silly. And it's not like he covered himself in loads of glory last time he was here. So to go out and spend that money on him again,
he was a bloody pittance.
He was about 52 million or something like that. Euros you spent on him.
42.
I've got euros written down.
Giving him away. Basically free.
Go on then, Scott. Who have you got for worst signing?
Worst signing. I am going with, again, toss up, Fulkrug to West Ham. I watched him the other week.
Is he a stinker?
He is the least mobile human being I've ever seen in my life.
It's like 30 million for a 31-year-old.
Yeah.
It's an absolute stinker of a signing.
I think they could have bought Chris Woodley.
Could have bought 2 Chris Woods.
So Fulkrug's in there. I did also have, and I'm still torn on it, Dominic Solanke as my worst signing because I think the money was extortionate. And what Liam said there about the price for goals, it's not exactly proven, is he? He's had one season where he's produced a really good number of goals. Granted, it was a great season. But he's never shown previous, and there's no guarantee that he will do it again. And I just think it was a lot of money on somebody who has had a long time to prove himself and hasn't really done it until very, very recently. I could be wrong, but I thought if you got him for 40-ish, I'd be like, okay, it's there. But 65 or whatever, I think it was 65. I thought it was a shocking deal for Spurs to make. But overall, the worst. I'm going to stick by Fulkrug because he looks absolutely fucking, to borrow your term, Liam, toilet.
Thank you. I might as well go next, hadn't I? So I've gone for worst signing. Fulkrug was up there. I must admit, when I was having a look at this earlier, Fulkrug was up there. But I'm going to go with a goalkeeper signing at the bottom of the league. And that is the sign of Aaron Ramsdale for Southampton.
Yeah.
I think that is an awful signing for a number of reasons. But primarily, it's that why are you using that much of your budget on a goalkeeper that's barely playing in 12 months? In a season, you're going into a season where you're going to be faced with a number of shots. And alongside that, this is a player who's already been relegated twice. And he's barely got a beard. Like, he's 26 with 2 relegations on his record. He hardly gives me full confidence with regard to it. So I don't know. I feel like that money could have been used far better across the squad in terms of bringing some genuine quality in. There's enough good goalkeepers elsewhere. You didn't need to go and buy Arsenal's reserve keeper for nearly £30 million. You didn't need to do that. It's a terrible bit of business. And I wonder about his resale if they go down. What would that be? So that's who I went for.
Maybe there's got to be a contract clause in there somewhere if you go and sign him for safety. I don't know, maybe.
But who'd buy him? Like,
yeah.
Who'd pay that? Like, anyway, go on. Luke, which Arsenal player have you gone for?
So, Scott.
You're gonna come out. If we'd signed Prime Messi, you go, oh yeah, Messi shit signing for Chelsea. That
Luke's got a list here.
I don't think that's a fair comparison, Scott, to what's going to come.
Probably not. But
you've not listened to what I said. Might be. Just
I don't need to. Go on. Sorry, I'm interrupting. Go on.
So I could have gone in a load of Chelsea players, but I've decided not to.
That's good.
In a way. So I've gone a bit edgy, right?
Oh, way up. That doesn't sound like you.
So, as you all aware, I wasn't really paying attention to transfers this summer. So I did a little bit of research today, and I've been listening to Liam's favourite podcast. And
which is this one?
For, well,
if you say Emil Smith Rowe now, you're going to be in trouble.
No. I'm going for all the signings that happened on the 30th of June to make sure PSR rules because it is an absolute shambles, and this grey area that everyone's living is, I can't believe it's happening. I can't believe we've got to this point where we're selling goalkeepers for X amount of money just so they can buy João Felix. It's
I know who you're
nonsense.
I think I know who you're going to say, but go on.
No, that's it. No. I'm going to go all of them.
Right.
All the Villa ones.
No. Yeah. I was going to pull a rule
one
in
player.
Then, you can't claim a whole bunch of players.
I'll go for Kellerman, and then the other way with Maatsen going the other way. Them two signs. Was it 40 million and 22 million? How are they? How is that even possible?
Why are you pocket watching? Why are you worried about what's in our account? Like, I don't understand. What business is it yours?
Listen, we have earmarked PSR transfers as a future episode topic. So I think you've got to go for one, Luke. You've got to go for one. Which signing stinks? Not because of the corrupt system around it, but
I'll go for I'll go for the Maatsen one, the 40 million to Chelsea to Villa. I think that's ridiculous
because of the money.
Yeah,
I actually think Maatsen's a good signing for Villa, but I do agree the money seemed inflated. Let's call it that.
Well, for a 23-year-old left back who just went to the Champions League final with Dortmund, I don't think it was outrageous considering his potential. It was inflated, and it was a clear PSR move. I totally agree. We paid, I think it was 19 million for Amari Kellerman. I think he played 2 Premier League games. So there's clearly something going on there, some financial skullduggery. But I don't think the deal for Maatsen was bad. I think if we just announced that to somebody else, I think it was that bad.
Right. So I'm going to type these up and post them out. To our listeners. Right, so that wraps up our Premier League predictions. So the last section of this extra long episode, we're going to have a few minutes on our FPL draft. We're going to address that. This is our first transfer window of the season. We're going to have one of these every month. So we're going to go back onto our FPL draft teams. So prior to the podcast, we did a little... Liam got his Wheel of Doom out, and we picked an order.
I call it my big wheel.
Got his big wheel out, and so we've picked an order. We're going to go through, sign players who we want, and have a couple run-throughs, and then hopefully we'll all be happy, and then we can move on. So luckily, I got first. Since I got it's quite fair, because I got last in the original draft picks. But I'm going to go with... I have two who I want to go for. I'm going to go for Eze. I'm going to sign Eze, and I'm going to remove Alejandro Garnacho.
Oh, interesting.
So Garnacho is now a free agent. I think. So that's a proposed trade, I believe. I'm just trying to see how this works. We might have to cut bits of this out. We'll try and work it out. I think as long as I carry on. So who was next anyway in this list?
It was me.
Luke goes next.
I'm going to sign Luis Diaz.
Yes,
that's who I was going to sign.
And I'm going to get rid of Doku.
Doku is now a free agent.
Ooh.
Who was next? Liam was next.
Liam was next.
Well, I need a striker because Ivan Toney no longer plays football on this continent. So I need to get a striker in. So I'm going to look at strikers and I'm going to bring in a player that we all love, Danny Welbeck.
That's good for you because you don't have to really give up one. You don't give up a place, yeah.
So that is now a proposed transfer for you to approve, I think, Martin.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that. I'm going to have to work this out at a later date.
That's fair.
So it's now Scott's turn.
I am also going for a striker because Dominic Solanke is injured, so he's no use to me at the moment. And I am going to replace him with John Duran of Aston Villa.
Oh.
How long did they say he's out for, by the way? What's the deal with Solanke?
He doesn't say. He's got a 25% chance of playing next game, according to this. I don't really know what that means.
It means it means he's got a 1 in 4 chance of being fit.
Yeah, but for how long? That doesn't tell me that either.
Need to work out how we do proposed trades. So
yeah, it's now proposed. I need you to accept my proposal.
I don't know how I do that, which makes for great listening, I'm sure. To be honest, that's me done. There's no other transfers who I'm really looking at. I'm not interested in any of the players you've got rid of, any of you. So, Luke, it's back round to you if you want to make another one.
I'm going to get Dominic Solanke from Scott. Now he's a free agent because, as you're all aware, I chose Fulkrug as one of my forwards.
Oh no!
So I'm going to trade him. But it's not updated on my thing yet.
Same with mine. So we'll have to work this out at a later date. As long as we've got it all recorded down, we can work this out.
Okay, you happy with that, Luke? Are you locked in?
Yeah.
So I am going to make another swap. I do need another midfielder, I think. Martinelli is looking like he's fallen out of favour. It looks like Trossard is the man at the moment. So I'm going to swap out Martinelli and I'm going to bring in Madueke.
Good show.
Interesting.
Yeah. Chelsea players I was a bit reluctant on, but he seems to be someone who's nailed down that right wing position now. So Madueke comes in, joins the Wenger statues.
I'm still alright. There's no one who I want. If you lot have got rid of in that window, so I'm going to stick.
I'm going to make one more change.
Oh, sorry.
Malagusto picked up a bit of an injury towards the end of the game, so I'm not sure he's going to be free. So I'm going to take the chance, and his crossing's abysmal. So he's not going to get me the assist that I thought he would. So I'm going to change him for. Is it Rico Lewis? It's Rico Lewis, isn't it? Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm changing it for Rico Lewis.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm sticking.
Yeah, I'm happy with mine now.
Any more, Liam?
I'm tempted. I'm tempted to mix my defence up a little bit. It is a little bit Tottenham heavy, isn't it? Even though I've just obviously tipped them to be in the top 4. And I'm thinking of mixing it up slightly. So I'm going to take out Mickey van der Ven. I'm going to bring in Ibrahima Konate. Just to mix things up a little bit. So, because Van der Ven, for me, is the least likely to score points of those 3 that I've got. Even though he's probably the best of those 3, theoretically, from a fantasy league perspective. He is the least. So, Van der Ven's available if that tempts any of you.
He's in my actual fantasy team, but no.
Are you going to tell the public who's winning?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
No, we're not finished yet, Luke. Are you wanting to make any swaps before?
No, I'm happy.
I'm going to make one more as well. I'm going to swap out Lewis Dunk for Anthony Robinson of Fulham as well.
He's good in.
So I'm going to make quite a few swaps personally.
Is that it? Are you done?
With that, yeah, 4 changes for me. Just need those to be approved by you, Martin. You're in charge.
The admin will approve them. Right, well, I think that wraps it up. The current league table, Rockets, managed by Luke, are top with 157 points. The Wenger statues are second, just with 152. Funny name by me are 145 points, and bottom of the table at the moment is the 2 Enzos by Scott on 137 points.
How is Liam not top with Haaland? I don't understand.
Must have had him captain. Sure.
You can't have captain doesn't work. Captain doesn't
work.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Even still, like, I'd have thought you'd got more points than everyone put together by now.
Well, why are you not top? Yeah.
What do you mean? I ain't got Haaland, have I?
I've got Salah, and that's helping me out.
Don't worry about my team.
And I think that wraps it up. Is there anything else that we need to cover, boys?
No. Just where do we find this podcast if we've happened across it and we like it? Where would we access it, Martin?
Good question. It would be preferable if people go and subscribe on YouTube, but you can find all the information and all the links at www.fixingfootballpodcast.com. Thank you everyone who's been listening and subscribing. It means a lot to us. We've got about 200 people in our fantasy league, and if all of them could go and subscribe like their menu, then they might be winning a prize at some point in our fantasy league. But that's going really well. So please do go and subscribe or follow on wherever you're listening to podcasts. And that's all from me. Thank you everyone.
Please feel free to follow us on Twitter or X, and please ignore all the abusive Ipswich fans from this week.
What's the address for that, Liam?
At Fixing Football.
That's good. Right, boys, thank you very much. We will.
No worries.
We can catch you all next time.
Right.
Say bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Goodbye.